welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing those stories to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the best job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, what gender. You can make an amazing life in sales so long as you show up and do the work. And today's guest is no stranger to that journey. She's someone that has been in the luxury space and has really shown what it takes to be successful. So I'd like to welcome Miss Lorrie Thomas Ross.
Hi there. Great to be here.
Hey, I'm super excited to have you. And I want to jump right into your crazy sales story because I'm pretty sure it's a doozy.
Well, know that my business today, I'm known as the marketing therapist, and I am very transparent with everyone I work with that I am a recovering salesperson. I never, ever thought I would have a career in sales and marketing. I was one of those kids that needed a job in my early teen years. I worked for JCPenney. I was this 15-year-old kid where, the store management's like, who's employee 844? Because she's out selling the full-time people. I was just educating people. I was like, I got to entertain myself from 5 to 9 p.m. So let me geek out on what a down comforter, the range was, whatever. So, I am a total accidental salesperson, crushing it in not luxury retail and then climbing the ranks. And so when I moved out at age 18 and was putting myself through college, I ended up selling cosmetics. And then I got recruited by Saks Fifth Avenue, selling couture clothing, dressing celebrities. I have people, I'm proud to say I've had people on the cover of People magazine and stuff I selected for them. When it does not matter what you're selling, whether you're selling down comforters or cosmetics or, $500 t-shirts, it's all about understanding your client's needs. And I didn't come from wealth. Something in my blood is super service oriented. And one of my personal shopping clients at Saks was in the fitting room. I was dressing her for a trade show in the internet world. And then she was like, you need to just leave Saks and come work for me on the internet. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but here's your shoes and your handbag. And she's like, no, I'm dead serious. Like, you would be an idiot to not take advantage of this. You're going to make so much money. And this was the .com boom, my friend. And no one asked how old I wasn't. And I was 21 years old. There was no job application. No one asked where I went to college. I didn't have a degree. And so suddenly I'm selling clicks on the internet, those like obnoxious banner ads back before Google. And I was drinking from the fire hose and I was working with big brands, WebMD, LL Bean, all these brands. And I found myself in that same world of sales, which again, like they tell me to sell, I sold, but I found myself wanting to help beyond the taking the insertion order and uploading the campaign and delivering clicks and impressions and clicks. And I'd say I have ideas for the language and the messaging. We can actually capture more attention and, what we can do with the landing page. And these clients were, again, .com boom. It was a stupid time. They're like, blah, blah, blah. We just need to keep buying more ads. And I saw the writing on the wall. And so I pieced out. I left the company right after they went public. Went back to Saks. They welcomed me back with the promotion and all that. And then I got recruited again to sell advertising for another company. And that's when I realized my sales work needed to be in online advertising. And I did that for years. And then I was transitioned from being a seller of online media to being a buyer of online media. And talk about sales flipped. I'm a salesperson's best friend or their worst nightmare, where I'm like, oh, no. Do not tell me you have not looked at my client's website before you got on this sales call. I was like, But on the flip side, I'm like, look, we can cut all the pomp and circumstance. Let's get to it. And so I just feel super fortunate that I'm in this world. I am so with you that sales it's a flexible career. I feel like sales is everything. I mean, personal branding, that could be a whole separate podcast where we talk about, the brand called you. And today I am 19 years into being an agency owner, and I work with intentional leaders, and they're rad humans, and we help them sell in a way that's ethical, effective, sustainable. And it does bring everything that I, learned by trial and of course life experience into the work that I do today.
There's so much I want to unpack from this because it's a literal masterclass on what it means to be a great sales professional, and also understanding that to be great at sales, you have to understand marketing. because people don't buy from logos. They don't buy from, fancy brands. They buy from people. Now, those people might be wearing the fancy logos and representing those big brands and the corporations. But at the end of the day, everyone is attracted to those things because they saw someone, and that someone made an impression on them. And being someone who also did not come from wealth and had to figure it out by being tossed into like whatever sales opportunity came around, I love the idea of service-based sales. It's something I preach from the rooftop because ultimately, when you understand what your client is trying to get, the end result, whether it's something for pleasure, fancy shirts and nice shoes, or if it's to get out of the pain that they're in of, we're not making enough money, and if we can't turn this business around, we're going to have to shut the doors, which means that every family that has trusted me to provide them a paycheck, they're not going to have that anymore. And so what I'd be really interested to know, on your side of things is when you step into those conversations, how do you help these corporations understand that the marketing budget is directly tied to the sales revenue?
It's a lot of listening and understanding and, unpacking the challenges, but also identifying the opportunities. And in the name of service, which is my foundation for sales and always has been, it correlates with education. And I never sell. On my website, there is no services page. There's a solutions page, but I am not going to sell or pitch or any of that stuff that makes me loathe what is the myopic viewpoint of what sales is. And it's just giving these leaders options. And that's one of the kind of my blue ocean when it comes to sales. I hear all the time, wow, you've spent way more time with us than other agencies, or wow, we came to you wanting SEO and you're telling us you won't work with me until I hire a virtual assistant because I'm about to burn out and there's these 10 other things I need to do. And you've completely bulleted it all out. And all of this has been for free. And I hear this all the time. You really care about what you're doing. And I was like, well, when you run your own business, you got to care a lot. Otherwise, you're not going to get up and keep doing it every dang day. So having, being of service is listening, it's understanding. It's also not shoulding on someone and saying, you should buy this. I mean, this is psychology of sales. When you say, like, let's say I cold call you, instantly you're in the arms crossed. All right, let's hear it. Versus let's do an email introduction, or, oh, here's a referral, which is a great way to build. But you made a great point about the pain point of sales and providing for your families and your employees. There's often this kind of fear-based, I need to throw more money at ads, or I hope this is going to do it. It's like, you have to go back to the heart of what you're doing and your audience and their needs. And, that's where the most creative ideas come from. And, throwing money at sales and marketing isn't always the solution. It's really getting to the core of that. And I'll say to clients, I'm like, look, I can use your website all day long. And yes, we can make your copy better, but you need to pull your weight too. And your salespeople need to do more here. And, there needs to be more heart and soul, and not sending the templated email and just hitting people 15 times versus saying hey, I met you 2 years ago and I've noticed that you're advertising XYZ and I bulleted a few ideas, I mean, if salespeople take a little more time to just, be more personal, forget quantity, it's all about quality. But to the point of education, when I used to teach, I taught for UC Santa Barbara and UC Berkeley. I had students that were wigging out right before the final projects. Every single time I taught, we'd have delightful classes until it was go time. And then all this fear and stress and ick yuck comes out. And finally, one day, I just write on the board, MARKEDING, waiting. This was in Berkeley, waiting for these students to tell the teacher she can't spell. I circled the ED and I said, it's all education. Stop thinking about marketing in the old school dynamic or old school definition of pitching and promoting. What do you want to help your audience understand? And this is sales 101. What do you want to help your audience understand? At Saks, when I had clients with 4 homes and I, thought about these ladies flying, from house to house, I'm like, would you rather fly with or without your Chanel makeup? If you want to just leave it at every single house, let me just ship it let me just take this one order times 4 to all your houses, and that's going to save you carry on stuff. And they're like, great, $15,000 sale right there. So you have to think and you have to be of service. And, it's the same thing today. If I have a client who's being a danger to themselves and others, my team and I are going to pick up the phone and we're going to be like, hey, stop touching your damn Google campaign on a Friday night because you don't know what the bleep you're doing. Like, we love you and effing stop it. And they're like, wow, like, right, we care. So, being of service, educating, stop thinking about sales as this like, cheesy, pushy, obnoxious thing, and just get right to the heart of, where you can solve problems and be of service.
This was, for me personally, one of the things that was like a major shift in my process and really helped me develop into where we are now, is when I was trying to learn marketing, because I was a sales guy. I've always been a sales guy. I always hated salespeople because I thought it was an icky, gross kind of thing. And yet, just so happens, as a young degenerate kid that grew up selling anything and everything I could get my hands on, to be more legitimate, sales was the only job that I could really find, because I've been covered in tattoos since 16, and it was not cool back then. It's definitely changed these days. But what I learned is I was trying to figure out marketing, right? It was, hey, these insurance guys, they're getting all these super cheap leads, and we're spending $25 and $50 a piece. If I could just get more leads, I'll sell more stuff. It's a math problem, right? More leads, more sales, more commissions. Easy. And as I was trying to understand the process, one of the guys that was he was the developer for the landing page builder software that I use. And I was in their Facebook group and I'm like, hey, how do I do this? And how do I add a Facebook pixel? And how do I do, all these silly little questions. And I'll never forget, the guy reached out to me and he's like, here's the deal. Everything you're asking in here is fantastic. And I'm willing to give you the answers that you need direct instead of having to go into the group. But I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to take the information I give you and teach other people in the community what you're doing. And if you're willing to do that, I'll give you everything you need. And I was like, hey, man, I really appreciate that offer. But if I give them the secret sauce, won't that take away from my ability to be successful? And he hit me with this. He's like, hey, man, everything I'm going to teach you, you could learn on YouTube. Do you want to learn it in a way that allows you to actually utilize it? I was like, well, of course I do. He said, then think about it in the way that when I teach you, you're going to go and teach the next person, because that's going to elevate you to a level of authority where people are now going to be reaching out to you and say, hey, man, how do you do this? And can you help me? And can I pay you to help me do this thing? And it was such a weird flip of the mindset around service-based sales. And I love what you said about, hey, sometimes we just take a look at something and we realize that, hey, throwing $10,000 a month at SEO is a Hail Mary attempt at you to do the thing, when ultimately you need like a $3,000 a month VA who's going to take all this stuff off your plate for you so that you can focus on the thing that's going to actually move the needle in your business. And there are a lot of companies out there that when you come to them in that sort of conversation, they're like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go hire someone else. And then inevitably they come back and they're like, yeah, I wish I would have listened to you, because you were genuinely trying to help me solve the big problem in my business. And it wasn't a marketing problem. It was that we're doing 9 different things and we're not doing one thing great. And so do you find that when you're having those conversations, there is a little bit of resistance from time to time from those kind of people?
For sure. And, to wrap up your last point, giving to gain, right? Like, it sounds like you and I are totally aligned on that. And for folks that want change, that aren't willing to change, I always say, I can't save everybody, right? I'm the marketing therapist, but I can't save someone or help someone who's not ready to be helped. And that's it. When it comes to personal growth, I find there's like a spectrum. There's people that just have this like insane desire that are like, I will do whatever it takes. I'll hire the VA, I'll read the book, whatever. And then there's the extreme end, which is discomfort of like, I'm just like at my wit's end. I can't take it anymore. But the folks that are like in the middle, sometimes they're just not ready to move. And sometimes it takes one extreme or the other. And so just yesterday, I had someone come out of the woodwork. We did a proposal probably 3 or 4 months ago, and nonprofit organizations, so things move at a snail speed, which is like, I'm like, wee. But we had the most amazing, just authentic. And she's like, here's where I'm at. And here's where we're at with the board. And the board loved your proposal. We just had all these things. And we just had this hour-long conversation where we revisited everything, got ourselves back, kind of reconnected. And yeah, it's just a matter of, it's not having attachment. And I think that's really important in sales too, is, the fear versus love, right? If you're like, I have to sell this, versus when you're more relaxed and you're like, look, I'm a badass and I can help you. And here's how I can help you. And you're like a little like, versus like, this extreme, energy, you can actually repel people when you have that desperation or that intensity. And so, I'm with you in that sales can be perceived as icky, yucky, all of those things. When you have a relaxed approach to it, and you as the seller are more relaxed in the way that you write content and the way you post on social media, your interviews, all of that, that vibe does attract to the right tribe. But yes, I mean, some people just aren't ready. Bless them. They'll come back when they are. And sometimes they will, cheat on you and see other people, and then they will come back. That's okay too.
Well, and I think this leads perfectly into your point earlier about personal branding. And, again, this could be a 5-hour podcast. So we don't have that much time, but I want to lean in on this topic because it's something that I think so many sales professionals are missing. And it's because they just don't genuinely understand that, again, people buy from people. And the way that you represent yourself with your content and your emails, before we started this, you were talking about, hey, I genuinely appreciate reading your emails. And if you go to your inbox right now, there's hundreds of pieces of templated, boring, AI written, which I'm not hating on AI because I use it too, but you have to add your own flavor.
Yep.
And the ability for you to be able to brand yourself as someone who's genuine, who's trustworthy, who's willing to pretty much give away the entire game and secret of how to do all this stuff, it's the difference maker. Because when people know that you're the person that has the answer to their problems because you've already given them all the solutions, they start to realize that, hey, I have the answers, but I still don't want to go and learn how to do this. I don't want to learn how to write SEO or how to change websites. Like, this person has already proven to me that they are the person for me. So let me just call or set up an appointment or whatever that looks like. And it makes the sales conversation much less about sales and all about, hey, here's the service, here's the expectations, this is what it's going to look like. And so how did you figure out that personal branding side of it? Because, again, I think we're very much aligned in how we like to approach business as a whole. But what was that moment for you that made you realize, like, hey, I just got to be me?
This is actually really funny. So I've been doing this for my clients for, 20 years. And I had created some very early, this was for LinkedIn Learning when they were owned by another company. I created online marketing courses for them when I used to live in California. And we'd have a lot of time in between being in makeup and, lunches. And they asked me about what I did for work. And I talked about my clients who were thought leaders and how we extracted all this great content from their brains, helped them write in their voice, position them as leaders so that they were not just, their brand was elevating business overall, how we were actually helping employees at these organizations elevate their personal brands. And so I got a call, months later, and they're like, hey, we'd like you to do a course on personal branding. Thank goodness we were not on Zoom because my eyes would have bugged out. I had no idea what the bleep personal branding meant, but Sales 101, so, and especially for women listening, women over-explain. I just shut my mouth and I was Googling, what is personal branding? I created a course on it. When you teach it, you learn it. Personal branding is the act of the brand called you and leveraging that. And when I taught the course, it breaks down to owning your expertise. What do you know that you can teach others? It's about your personality too, right? When I read your content, I feel like I'm with you. And I was telling you before we got on this, I was like, I love your content. And you're like, no, thank you. I'm like, no, thank you, because I actually enjoy reading it and I get it so much nutrientless blah in my inbox. But I feel like, your personality is pumped into that. And the last piece of it is style. And that's where we do look at our logos, our brands, our photography, even our personal style. I'm able to bring my background in personal styling to some of my clients. And I've helped wardrobe clients, not all of them, but some of them that do retreats with me, we do the whole enchilada. And so expertise, personality, style, and some of us are a little more introverted. And so those are the folks where I'm like, no, don't put yourself out in front of video because that's not you. And so we have to be sensitive to those three areas. But the magic secret sauce here and the power of content, in the word authority is the word author. And when you get all of that brilliance out of your brain, and whether it's video, social media posts, blog posts, email newsletters, PR interviews, that helps solidify your brand, which also attracts folks. And I got hired a couple years ago by a major car brand to do a session on personal branding for all of their sales staff, because these folks were not even visible on the World Wide Web to clients who already knew them, liked them, and trusted them. Our best clients are our current clients. And if we can find ways, not only trying to remember every person's cell phone, but if someone's like, who was that great salesperson at Subaru or Chevrolet or wherever I'm at, being on LinkedIn, being Googleable, using things like LinkedIn as your interactive Rolodex so that, you are accessible. There's just so many creative things that you can do. And I'm glad that we were able to tap into personal branding. That's a good, point to ponder as you navigate sales.
I'm going to steal Jeff Bezos' quote because I think it applies perfectly here, but your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the ultimate key to being successful with building a personal brand is what are people saying when you're not around? What's the conversation that they're having? Are they at home talking about, oh man, I went to the dealership and I had this jerk that was just trying to hard sell me on this thing, blah, 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 blah. Or is it, hey, you know what? I got on a conversation with Lorrie and she totally blew me away with how much just content and value she gave me. And even though if it didn't work out for us, they're going to tell other people about what that conversation was. And as you mentioned earlier, referrals are the greatest gift any sales professional can receive. And if your personal brand isn't doing so in a way that has people talking about you when you're not sitting right there in front of them, you're missing out on so much growth. And
Absolutely.
That's what it comes back to. How do you style yourself? How do you communicate with people? How do you act when you're in the room having that salesy conversation? Because if people feel like they're making a decision, they're much more likely to feel good about it versus say, yeah, this guy totally sold me on this thing. And I don't know, it works, but I don't, right. And I think that is where you really are shining in your ability, Lorrie, to step in and just say, hey, this is what we do. This is how we're going to do it. If you like it, cool. If not, that's totally cool too. I'm not here to pressure you one way or the other, but I am here to educate you enough to make the right decision for you.
And that's the key thing is that the client has to make that decision. When you oversell and they feel like, oh, so-and-so pushed me into this, psychologically, you're already hosed versus here's option A, here's option B. Look, we can pour lighter fluid on this and blow you out of the freaking water, or we can start small and snowball. There's no right or wrong answer. And then they're choosing, and then it's their decision. And that is so important, the psychology of sales, and making sure that you're an ally and that it's not a transact. This is we'll wrap with this, right? It's not about the transaction, right? I would not still be in business if I focused on transactions. It's all about relationships. There's an art of sales. There's a science of sales, but when there's a heart and you're actually given a darn, then you're set for life. The only constant's going to be change, right? Trends are going to come and go. AI is here. I still remember getting hired to go speak to oil executives who were male, pale, and stale. It's a whole other topic, but speaking to them and I was hired to convince them that social media was not going away. I'm old. You can't see how gray my hair is, but it's, I've seen it all. And while the trends and the changes are always constant, there's nothing that's ever going to change when it comes to being of service, being supportive, and caring.
And, we could probably nerd out on this for the next 4 or 5 hours. And I want to be respectful of your time because I understand that time is our most valuable asset. And so what's the best way for me and the listeners to come and follow you? I'm sure you're putting out amazing content as well. So how do we come check all that out?
Well, I walk the talk. So you can just Google me, Lorrie Thomas Ross. It's Lorrie Thomas Ross. You can look at my hairstyles over the years on Google Images. That's a hoot. But yes, LinkedIn's a great way to connect and reach out, or via our website, webmarketingtherapy.com. And this was so fun. Always great to chat with like-minded sales folks. And yeah, I just keep doing what you're doing. It's fantastic.
I appreciate those kind words more than you know. And I'm gonna ask one last thing before we get out of here. Let's say that, because sales is such a diverse industry. There's new people coming in every day, people leaving, if we're blessed enough for someone who's just started in sales to Google us, hey, how do I make more sales? And somehow they land on this episode of the show. Could you give them one piece of advice on how to be super duper successful in this industry? Just one thing that if they do consistently will help them win.
The one thing is three meaningful connections a day. That's it. And that can be, and that's not just shooting an email like, hey, following up on this proposal, but hey, I actually thought about you the other day and we have this new intern and so great. And they might be a great contact for the company. Anything you can do, give to gain, right? Anything you can do that's truly meaningful, or sending a text. Like one of my CEO best girlfriends, it was her birthday yesterday, and it wasn't just happy birthday. I made a point to say to her, what a light she is in my life and how much she means to me. And, that's not going to necessarily put sales in my pocket, but that to me was a meaningful connection. And when you are radiating that and you're keeping the focus on a meaningful connection, then you're good. And that's doable every day. That can be a LinkedIn check-in. That can be a pick up the phone call. But if you do that, you're good.
I'm going to take this one step farther, Lorrie, because I love this meaningful connection, and the birthdays is such a simple way, right? So I label myself as introverted. Of course, I've had to learn to be extroverted and get on camera and do all the things to speak on stage because it's a whole beast in and of itself, right? We won't go down that path. But here's something that I do almost every day. I'm not going to say I'm perfect and I do it every day. Sometimes I miss, so I have to go back. But on these social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I don't know if Instagram does it, but I know Facebook and LinkedIn does. It'll tell you whose birthday it is. You want to create genuine connections. You want to really impact someone. Look at that list of birthdays. Pull your phone out. Hey, Lorrie, I saw it was your birthday. I just wanted to reach out and tell you happy birthday and remind you to crush the day before it crushes you. Your support means the absolute world to me. And if there's anything I could ever do for you, just please feel free to reach out. In the meantime, though, go have an awesome birthday. Have some fun. And make the best of the day. Boom. 10, 15 seconds. You do 5 or 6 of those a day. I can't tell you how many messages I've got from people in tears talking about how they have family members, employees, people that have been in their life for dozens of years that didn't even bother to say happy birthday. And I'm some random sales dude from the internet that just took 30 seconds to say happy birthday. Now, I can say for certain that has led me to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sales from just being a good person. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but for the introverts that are afraid to get on camera and they're like, this is such a genuine way to just get comfortable doing that. Yeah. And it will make an absolute difference in every single thing that you do, even if it's just building relationships. Again, what does your brand say? It's what people say when you're not in the room. Man, this guy sent me a birthday video, and how cool is that? I'm so glad you brought that up, Lorrie, because it's such a powerful tool. And if you want to create connection, that's an easy way to do it without being salesy. And so, again, I truly am just so grateful for this conversation and your time. And I can't tell you how excited I am for the world to hear this. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You guys know what to do. If you enjoyed the show, share it on social media, tag us, send it, to your favorite web platform, maybe even send it to somebody who absolutely sucks at sales. Help them get better. That's what this show is all about, sharing these stories, letting you know that it doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality, or even what your experience is in sales. There's always something you can be doing to get better. And if you have a crazy sales story, I want to hear it. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast, submit your information, tell us a little bit about you. Let's get you on here because every single person has an awesome story to tell, and we want to share yours with the world. So head out there, give us a call, and you guys know what to do next. Go call the damn leads because that's the thing that's going to help you solve all your money problems. So get out there, do your thing, and we'll see you guys on the next one.